All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to another random live stream here on the Fourth Age. I see some people raiding in from over at John's Long Box right now. Vaz is here, Zach Dan is here, and Sarge is here already. John said he might be showing up. Oh, there he is right now. Yeah, John to stage. There we go. John's here already, and we're just going to talk comics for a little bit. Ryan is
Oh,
here as
Ghost.
well. Yes, I was thinking about Ghost because, again, my Wednesday videos, I was talking about the reason why I have the Batman on the thumbnail is because it's the phantasm in the background, right? And that I talked about phantasms in the video. But then I started to think about the Ghost, and I was going to ask you, what's your what is the well, let's start off with Dark Horse. Dark Horse first. What's your most memorable Dark Horse comic that you would recommend people to read?
Uh, Dark Horse is Hellboy. I'm a big Mike Mignola fan. Without a doubt, Dark Horse get Hellboy. If we're gonna accept Hellboy, Ghost is a good one. Of course, I got to say Mark Millar's comics. You know, he's part of Dark Horse. All of his comics would be Dark Horse, but Dark Horse had so many good comics. Usagi Yojimbo, that's Dark Horse. That is so good. And I think Gru the Wanderer, when it does come out, it's Dark Horse. It really is a good company. It's a good company. They got a good selection process of what they're going to publish.
John doesn't put barbed wire at the top of his list. I don't know why. That'd be a Dark Horse comic right there, John. Remember barbed wire?
Oh wow, that's the one that they turned into a movie with Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, it is.
I don't even have that comic, so maybe it is good. I don't know if you're being silly or not, but
no, but she crossed over with Ghost a lot. If you have the full, you would have some stories with barbed wire. If you have the full run,
Ghost. What was it? That was Eric Stone, I think, is the writer. Is that? He also wrote Wonder Woman for a while. He wrote a really underrated Wonder Woman. I will say from George Perez to just after whoever. Oh yeah, Luke Stone. No, the Luke Stone is the guy who does Fun My Comic, who's drawing my princess. His name is Luke. Eric Luke? I forget.
Yeah, it's Luke.
Right. But up until him, Wonder Woman has like 200 solid issues. Really good run of Wonder Woman. And he wrote Ghost for a while. And Ghost, she was killed. It has a dark origin that I'm not going to get into. And she has a cool set of powers, and he logically thought about the powers. She's a ghost, but she could pass through walls, but the only thing she can't pass through is jade. So she has the Jade Cathedral, which is her home base, so because she can't turn off her powers. And she has these guns. She's got 238s. And when she fires the guns, as soon as the bullets leave the gun, they turn solid, so she can shoot people and stuff. And she can float. You know, she's a ghost. And then every once in a while, like demonic forces would catch up to it. It was a good comic. I got to reread it. Really, yeah, great art by Terry Dodson and Adam Hughes. Now I got to look up.
George is right. I would say number one with Aliens. The very first black and white series of Aliens came out. That was the best Dark Horse comic, and it got me buying Dark Horse comics after that.
You're right. I forgot about that. Really good art. And now that you made me think about that era, there was a Dark Horse Presents was really good. I know anthology comics are bad, but Dark Horse Presents, there was always at least one really good story in every issue, and then some filler. But that's
granted.
That's the way it is with anthologies.
Don't you remember? Granite was a Dark Horse too, wasn't it?
Concrete. Yes.
Concrete. That's it.
Yeah, Concrete was Dark Horse, so that was.
What was the name of the character that was like? Oh, I can't remember. He was like a mythological character. He was in a lot of the Dark Horse Presents. He looked like an old. I think it was Frank Miller might have designed him first. He looked like an old fisherman. He had a slouch cap on. What the heck is the name of that character? I can't remember. Anybody remembers in the chat? But yeah, I can remember. Dark Horse Presents. I got that for a while because that was the only place for a while that they were publishing the alien stories. So they had some good alien stories in that as well. And can't forget the Next Men. That was also a Dark Horse.
Yeah, Next Men was really good. X, he was the vigilante hero.
Never got into X.
Yeah, It's funny. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. They still don't tell me the name of the. I know his name is Luke, but Luke what? Come on, just tell me the name of the series information. Okay, Eric Luke. I said it. Eric Luke. Yeah, he's good. He's one of those under the radar writers. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Ghost. It's one of the few comics I think my wife actually read too. Yes. No, I disagree with you, George. Dark Horse was not the first. The first comic to bring manga to America, believe it or not, was First Comics with Maya the Psychic Girl, or maybe it was Eclipse. It was either Eclipse or First. Maya
Yes, I was just thinking about that Psy as well.
Yeah, there was Maya the Psychic Girl, Area 88, Lone Wolf and Cub, and Macross Saga. Those are the ones I remember. I'm sure there's more. But we're talking, this was the early 80s. This was like 83, 84. And that was my first exposure to manga. And then they disappeared. And then Dark Horse brought All My Goodness and I think Gunsmith Cats and other manga.
If I remember correctly, I think High Republic was originally the first Star Wars that Dark Horse put out. That was a really good series.
I sad to say I only read the Marvel Star Wars, but I have no interest in Star Wars ever since the Disney took over. It was like I watched Star Wars get murdered before my eyes, and like I just would, or it was like a horrible breakup. I really love this girl, but then we had a horrible breakup. So I'm just gonna remember those fond memories. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna revisit it anymore. That's the way I feel about Star Wars. There was 6 good movies, and that's it.
I was just saying the same thing last night. Playing Ticket to Ride. It's like
I love Ticket to Ride.
They said, "Do you watch Star Wars?" I said, "I only watched the first 6 movies." That's it.
I love the game Ticket to Ride. I'm glad you play it because it's brilliant. It's brilliant for what it is. It is a perfect game, like they call it a gateway game to get people into modern board gaming, but you don't realize you're playing a modern board game. Like if you play Monopoly, if you play Scrabble or anything, Ticket to Ride is just so good. But I also got the Ticket to Ride the 10th anniversary. So it's oversized trains and an oversized board and everything. And then I bought the 10th anniversary of Ticket to Ride Europe. Have you ever played that?
Yeah, I got more Ticket to Ride than I think that's the game that I have the most copies of.
Oh,
I have Ticket to Ride Original, which is America. I have Europe, Poland. We have Germany,
I only have the 2.
Wild West, and what else we got? Japan, Korea. Let's see. There's a couple others we have as well that I don't even remember. I think the world one we have, but we never actually played it yet. And there's a couple of others that I'm not thinking of. There's a really good one for Pennsylvania because it has some really weird rules to it.
And that and Pennsylvania is a rectangle, so it's a perfect board. I have so many board games, and most of my board games are unplayed, so I won't get any more fun. I'm happy with 2, but I will gladly come to your house and play other Ticket to Rides. I think it's a brilliant game, and it's that and Settlers of Catan. The snotty board gamers are really into. I progressed beyond them. No, they're perfect. Just like Candyland is a perfect game for what it was designed for. Candyland is for little kids who are learning how to take turns, flip a card, and follow the rules. That's it. It's not supposed to be a good game. It's supposed to be a teaching game. Or whatever. You got me talking about board games.
The funny thing is, John, whenever I get people together to play board games, we don't know what we're going to play until we find out how many people are there and how much time we have. And that determines the game we're going to play.
Right. Yeah, that's what I do too. Or I do 2 things. Like every Monday and Tuesday, I play board games. But lately I've been working overtime, so that stopped. But the overtime is over. We'll see. But anyway, how many people are playing? 3. Okay. who's coming? Okay, so I'll pick this game, or sometimes I ask you any requests, but like every once in a while, like one of these Saturdays coming up, I'm scheduling a Twilight Imperium night. Now, have you ever played, or do you know about Twilight Imperium?
You told me about it, but I don't know anything more than that.
RJ, did you leave?
No, I'm there. You told me about Twilight Imperium,
freeze?
but
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you, John.
Oh. Have you ever played the game Twilight Imperium?
I haven't played it.
Okay, Twilight Imperium is an 8-hour space game. It is playing not just one Star Wars movie, but it's playing all 6 Star Wars movie in one board game. It is the apex predator of all board games. It like there's people like, oh, you played Monopoly? Mm-hmm. Have you played Ticket to Ride? And then there's like, oh, you played Twilight Imperium. It is like the ultimate complicated, crunchy board, and I love it. And it takes like 8 hours to play. And we will schedule a Saturday, so we start at noon. And I always say asses and seats at noon, meaning we got to be at the table at noon, and I'll cater it. We'll go to Qdoba and get like Mexican food. We take breaks. A few times we've actually got up and went to a restaurant and then came back and finished the game. I'm itching to play that, and I want to play with 8 people, 8 out. I got like super rare pieces that the company made like on an anniversary. I can't wait. I can't wait to play. You got to come down, RJ, just to play an 8-hour board game, and then you could leave.
What's Western Legends? Vaz is wondering if you have it.
Legends, Vaz, is the Twilight Imperium of cowboy games. Meaning it's a 6-hour epic game, and oh my God, it's called a sandbox game, meaning it's almost a role-playing game, but it's a board game. And you got this gigantic, I got the rollout mat, and I got all the expansions, I got everything, I got literally everything. I got mountain terrain, I got everything you could possibly. It's the most tricked out board game of Western Legends, and it is awesome. It is you could be a sheriff, you could be a bank robber, you could be a miner, you could be a gambler, and you could switch your roles. And it's the kind of game like if you are a prospector and nobody messes with you, you're going to win the game. So you're a prospector and you're like, I'm a sheriff. I have to rob him, otherwise I lose the game. You know what I mean? And then you switch. It's so fun. And then there's like you can introduce like a non-player character into the game called the Man in Black. We played that game and we had 5 people playing, and it was 6 hours, and it turned it into a horror game. The Man in Black was chasing us and burning down buildings and killing like there's like NPCs built into the game. It was killing them. So we were like, by the end of the game, we're like, is the Man in Black? Oh my, like, please just win the game, because I'm scared of it. Was so much fun. Yeah. So who made that comment? I love Vaz. It is such a good game. And then right behind me, there's a game called Warrior Knights, which is the Twilight Imperium of medieval Europe games. Another 6-hour game of knights taking castles and trade routes, and then you set up like prayer missions. It is so much fun. And then there's Merchants and Marauders, which is the Twilight Imperium of pirate games. It's just pirate ships in the Caribbean. Oh my! And you can make that game as easy or as complicated as you want. And I always choose. I want everything. I want everything in the game. Every turn you got to figure out which way the wind's blowing, and it's so much fun.
You just reminded me, I got a board game for Christmas, which I don't think we've taken out of the wrap yet, but it's basically I don't know if you play as the rats or not, but it's medieval Europe, and the plague is sweeping over medieval Europe, and you gotta either stop the rats or you are the rats. I gotta play that game.
What's the name of the game?
I don't know. I don't have it here with me. It's Ratuus or something like that. I can't remember, but it's the play off of Rat. So
that is the game. If I'm thinking about the game, it's you're humans, but a rat plague is coming, and it is so stressful because it doesn't matter what you do, you can't stop the rat plague. You could only be prepared. You could only lessen the damage. If it's the game I'm thinking of, I think it's called Ratus.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Like I said, I haven't taken it out of the plastic yet, but I got it for Christmas, or one of us got it for Christmas.
I got this game right over here. Oh, where is it? You might be interested in this. I bought this to play with my wife. It's called Jerusalem. And guess what the topic is?
It's a religious game?
Yeah, you're one of the 12 apostles, and you want to sit next to Jesus at the Last Supper. Then everybody has their little player boards, and you got to feed the poor. You got to give money to the poor. And I haven't played it yet. And the guys from the Dice Tower are all very religious, and they love it. So I have another religious game. Where is it? It's gonna drive me nuts. I'm pointing over here because this is where it was last time. But
it's one of the things that drove me nuts playing Ultima 4. If anybody knows what Ultima 4 is, you have to be proficient in a whole bunch of different virtues, and one of them was humility, and you had to get humility because it's basically a D&D like game, but you have to play this D&D like game where you go around and give money to the homeless people and to beggars and things like that. I could never get that stupid virtue to work on Ultima 4.
This is the Kings of Israel, and it's you're an Old Testament prophet going around preaching, and you got to eradicate sin, and while you're preaching, every turn you flip a card and sin appears, and if too much sin appears, an altar to Baal shows up. And if too many altars to Baal show up, you lose the game.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Yes,
I have it's particularly hilarious to me, John, because one of my good friends is a priest, and he would come over and play board games with us, and then we'd be going to the soccer field to play soccer. He'd say to us, "Oh, go worship Baal. You're going to the soccer field to worship Baal."
Yeah. Oh, Zach 10. Yeah, he watched me play that game. Yeah. Yes, there was a Mormon retheme of the Settlers of Catan. Yes, you're right. Well, this Kings of Israel is almost a reskin of Pandemic.
Oh, I never liked Pandemic. I'm sorry, but I never liked Pandemic.
This one's better to wrap your head around. I like Pandemic, but man, is that it's like, hey, you want to lose a game? You guys want to play Pandemic and lose a game tonight? Because you're never gonna. Speaking of Settlers of Catan, do you play that?
Yes, but I always lose. Always lose. My priest friend is a guy. He always wins unless someone takes his legs out from under him.
I'll tell you, I always lose. Why? Because I never trade. Because every time you trade, you're just giving somebody a point. So I'm like, I'm not trading. I would rather wait until I get 4 of something and then use the ports. So I never win this game. I guess my strategy of never trading is not that good.
I got to say, though, I'm as dumb as a box of rocks when it comes to some things. And one of them is when I was playing Settlers of Catan. We've been playing it for, just the guys that I have now, at least 15 years. And it took me until probably about a year and a half ago before I realized that dice rolls were actually, where it has the lines underneath everything.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the dice rolls are more likely to come up than others, and they're all sitting there looking at me like, "How stupid are you?"
Oh, you doubt my stupidity? Let me astound you with my stupidity. Yeah, I have a. I don't want to move it, but I have a wooden Settlers Catan with ceramic pieces. And it's funny because I've seen it on eBay for like $5,000, and I'm like always tempted to sell it because now they have a plastic 3D Settlers of Catan, and I like this is like so expensive now. I almost don't want to play it. So what good is it?
I got a game like that which I had since probably I was a teenager. It's King's Court. It's basically the old Viking version of chess, but the pieces are carved wood and ivory.
Oh wow! That sounds cool. All I had was Oregon Trail. Yeah, Settlers of Canaan was the Mormon version of Settlers Catan. They reskinned it with permission. Diplomacy. I've never played Diplomacy. There's a couple of games. Everybody seems to like. Why can't I think of the name of that stupid game? It's gonna drive me nuts now. Cosmic Encounters. Cosmic Encounters.
Oh, is that the one where you rip up the card?
Yeah, one of the cards you could rip up, but it's everybody starts off with like 6 spaceships in front of them or 6 planets in front of them, and this spaceships, and what you got to do is everybody has unique powers, and there's different wind conditions, and you gotta make treaties, a break treaties, but it's that game is just, hey guys, you want to come over tonight? We're gonna have an argument. Yeah, let's all argue tonight. Every time I've seen anybody play that game, they just argue. And Diplomacy is like, hey, I have one friend, and tonight I'm going to spend 6 hours arguing with one friend, because Diplomacy I think is a 2-player, and I'm talking like almost fist fight argument over Diplomacy. So I don't know. I don't want to play that.
That's funny because I had a friend. We were doing a trivia game, and part of the trivia was dinosaurs, and he's way into dinosaurs. And he lost on a card because he didn't. What he thought the answer was, the card didn't think was the answer, and he just blew up. And we've never played that game since.
I hate Trivia Pursuit. It's such a poorly designed game. But that was just the plot to one of the Seinfeld episodes, the Moops. He's playing Trivia Pursuit, and he says Moors, and the other guy goes, no, it's the Moops. He goes, no, it's the Moors. He goes, the card says Moops, and now because the card had a misprint, and they've been fighting. So that's like a running joke. Like Moops. That just means there's a misprint on the card or something. I found Diplomacy at the thrift shop, left it there. It's a friendship. Yes, I will not play Diplomacy. It's just a fight in a box. Final Girl is an awesome game. I know Zachtan saw me play. It's a solo only board game, and you think how much fun could a solo only board game? The answer is so much fun. It is so much fun. I love that game. I might be going to nights at work, so I probably won't be getting home in time to do my normal streams. So I might start doing like late night board game streams again, and bring out some more solo games. I'm sorry,
Ryan,
I'm taking over your show. I'm thinking
no, that's no problem. Ryan has a question. He talks about heroes drinking and recreational drugs. I don't mind drinking and I don't mind smoking. We have smoking and I think some drinking in my book, but I don't go for the recreational drug kind of usage. Thank you very much. Even though it seems to be headed that way according to the president. But anyway,
in my comic book, the patriarch, of course, he doesn't smoke. He will have a beer. He is a father. I mean, he's not a priest. He's not a saint, but he doesn't like smoking because, quite frankly, I don't like smoking. I detest smoking. So actually, none of my characters smoke. At least none of the good guys. But there's nothing.
You're gonna have to tell Renzo that because every once in a while he just throws in a guy with a cigarette in his mouth.
It's funny because one of the characters, he puts a match in his mouth. And I'm like, okay, I can work with that, but it's smoky. But a glass of wine or a beer. Of course, the patriarch, his wife is Greek Orthodox, and they have a vineyard. And I was toying with the idea of making a 12-page comic book with a limited edition bottle of wine with the patriarch symbol on it, and I went so far as to contact the vineyard, find out the prices, and to see if it was doable. And then I kind of got distracted with a bunch of other things. So maybe I'll bring it back. A limited edition bottle of wine, 12-page comic book about wine. But anyway, I do have a character. The sleeper agent is a drug addict. He takes narcoleptics to go to sleep because that's his weakness. He has a problem. He admits he has a problem, and that's kind of one of the whole basis of the story. So It's not like he's just like, okay, the bad guy's defeated. I'm gonna take some fentanyl and relax. No, he has a problem. He that's part of what I'm trying not to spoil it, but that's part of his character is this weakness, this drug, and it's not flippant either. He's not glorifying. It is a problem. It is killing him, and he wants to stop, but then he can't sleep, and if he can't sleep, he has no powers, and he does help people. So it's kind of like he's letting his addiction get too far because he is helping people. That's going to be part of the character.
Is there any modern comics that do board game storylines? I mean, Atari Forces was from a video game. You're just talking about that, but like AD&D used to be in the 80s, right? That was not a bad. Spelljammers, that was a pretty good comic and things like that. I don't know of any today, but I wouldn't know too much about the new comics today. Anybody know of comics that do that today?
Well, there are Dungeons and Dragons comics, and I collected them up until about a year ago, and now they're just, I respect my pronouns. I'm like, what does this have to do about killing goblins? So I just noped out of that. Pathfinder, they have comic books, and so far they didn't get bad like the way the Dungeons and Dragons comics are. So Pathfinder I'll still get, but there's there's a company called Simon that makes board games. They make Twilight Imperium. They made Fantasy Flight makes Twilight, but they're all owned by a parent company. And every once in a while they'll do comic book campaigns. So I have a stack. Oh geez, I don't know where they are. I'd go get them. But there's a Zombie Side comic book. There's a Rising Sun comic book. There's a Twilight Imperium comic book, and I think the Others comic book. So, there are some comic book based on board games.
I think one of the best games that we have is I don't know if you play it, Seven Wonders. Like, I mean, that is spectacular art. I mean, it has won I don't know how many international awards for the art that it has just for the game itself.
Seven Wonders, I absolutely love that game, and if there's 5 people playing, I come in 5th every time. If there's 4 people playing, I come in 4th. I'm terrible at it. I love it, and I haven't played it in a long time. Have you gotten all the expansions with the ships and everything?
I have the ship expansion and a couple of others, the leaders expansion, and we now have the head-to-head one too, but that's about it.
Yeah, I have all of the original version. I know they did a 2nd edition, and I think it cleans up all the symbols. It makes it a little bit easier to play.
Yep, got that as well.
But I'm too invested in the old. I actually got like the wooden insert to hold everything in the metal coins. I'm not going to get rid of that just because it has easier symbols. So I got everything for that, including like weird little promo cards that you can only get at conventions. But I haven't played it in a long, long time. It's kind of a difficult game to play, and every time we play it, you know how you take your cards, you pick a card, and then you pass them to the person on your right. Somebody always messes up the time, and now this guy's got 4 cards while that guy's got 2 cards, and you're like, oh god, So I always say the same thing: take the cards, put them down, don't touch them until I say pick them up. Like I have to be a control freak because somebody just impatiently takes another card and messes up the timing.
Usually I'm the bank and I play as the Empire, basically. Because I say, but the thing is that I use the actual words for because they're all Greek coins, right? So I was like, right, 1 oboe for you, 1 drachma for you. And they're like, would you stop that?
Yeah. Dead of Winter's had a good comic book. Dead of Winter's a great game. Have you ever played that?
No, I've heard of it before, but I have never played it.
Dead of Winter is basically The Walking Dead, the board game. And, it's in the middle of the winter, and you're a camp of, so you as a player are really about 6 characters, all conglomeration. So if your main guy dies, you pull out another one. And if you don't have any more people in your camp, then you're out of the game kind of thing. And then, so RJ's over there with his 6 guys. I'm over here with my 6 guys or whatever. And all we're doing is scavenging for resources. And sooner or later, we're going to meet at the same place. Do we fight? Do we help each other? And then there's a thing called the crossroads system. Like when it's your turn, the player to your left holds a card, and just if you do what the card tells you, then this card triggers and like stop. And it basically gives you a dilemma. And some of them are really philosophically difficult. Like you find a child in the snow. Do you give up food because we don't have enough food for us, and now we're going to take another mouth to feed? You things like that. You're like, what do you do? And you know, by the way the game's going, if you take this kid in, somebody is going to starve to death. You know what I mean? So it's like who? So you look at your group, like, okay, this kid's a young kid. Which one of these guys? You know, or okay, I'm going to take this kid in, but now I got to go to war with this camp and steal their food. It is a really, really like it's like a. I guess you find out who people really are in this board game, but not really. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to be a jerk this game just to see. But it's a really fun game, and it was the rage for a long time, and all of a sudden nobody plays it anymore. I think it's awesome.
Sounds like there is a simpler version of that called it's called Deserted Island, I think, where you play on a desert island and you have a limited amount of resources, and you can turn on the other people. You can make alliances and you can turn on them really quickly. So always reminds me of if anybody ever played Cutthroat for pool. When you're in the pool hall, you never play Cutthroat. You can turn on.
I wasn't cool enough to go to pool halls. I'm terrible at pool.
Well, but yeah, Desert Island. I think it's Desert Island. Haven't played it in a while, but it is good because again, it's like that. You only have a certain amount of resources in the deck, and that you can hand out on the board, and you can turn on everybody if you want to.
There's a couple of games where there's hidden trick. Well, that's another thing in Dead of Winter is everybody's got like an end goal. Like you could be a collector, so you want to collect junk, you know, and that, or you want to have the most people in your camp, and then one of them is you're the trader. You just don't want anybody to win, and if nobody wins, so if there's 7 people playing, you take 8 roll cards, and one of them is always the trader. So there's always that doubt. There might not be a trader in the game, but the way you play, like, why are you taking all the food? It's because you want to store a lot of food. So you're a trader, you know what I mean? And that just starts like all of this paranoia. It like delicious tension. It really is a good game. That's one of the things. Maybe we'll, when I hit my $10,000 stretch goal, we'll play Dead of Winter, and we'll just watch each other turn on each other. It'll be fun. Watch RJ turn into a raving maniac. Why'd you eat the last can of beans, John?
Ryan, I was thinking about actually doing print on demand for a future book, but again, I'm just thinking about it now. I haven't had any firm plans for that. There's a good I don't know if do you know Man Shorts? They used to do D&D videos on they don't do them anymore, but they would do faux D&D session videos every Saturday or Sunday. They would come out, but they'd made a little short story, one about beans. It's called Beans, I think it is. So it's basically the apocalypse, and this guy finds a can of beans, and you have everybody fighting over the last can of beans. So it's an interesting little short.
I never knew that one. Are either you considering print-on-demand distribution on Amazon or Barnes & Noble? I'm considering everything, but I don't know what I'm doing yet.
That's the answer I should give.
Yeah. I feel it's too, like, I only have one comic book. So print-on-demand for one, like, I got to get, like, I feel like once you have, like, 6 comics, then people might be interested in your stuff. But everybody... Not everybody, but you know what I mean? People who make just one comic and disappeared are the norm. So, I have another comic on the verge of coming out. I got a bunch of comics in the works. Let me get a nice little decent library, and I'm hoping comics like Eddie is Doomed and The Origin of Santa Claus that I'm working on. I hope those get like enough attention that maybe other people get interested in the Patriarch and Heroic Tales and things like that. So I'm considering everything. I'd like maybe what's the one that not Comixology, but there's another website where you can read.
I think we lost John. He's starting to digitize. I'll see if I can boot him and bring him back
up. I'm working with somebody. I'm gonna have comics in somebody else's comic in a comic shop. So maybe if that does well, if I get a rapport with that publisher, maybe I'll work with that publisher and get things in a mainstream direct market. Not mainstream, but not Marvel or DC, but like in the direct market.
Well, Helmus, answer your question, Aquinas. Definitely Aquinas. Although it's funny because again, I was visiting my priest friend the other day, and they had a version of basically Trivial Pursuit, but it was a religious version of so they could memorize some things. Yeah. So there's some good board games out there, and there's some weird board games. So my other question, I was going to jump off of this before, but I want to ask you this other question. We'll go back to mainstream back when, let's say, 80s, 90s, because that is a time when there wasn't too many alternative comic publishers at your comic shop. But besides Dark Horse, what would be a secondary a good comic source back then? I'd say Innovation would probably be among the top two.
Oh, there's a blast from the past. I forgot about them. That was a good company. Innovation. They made a.
I think Elementals was with Innovation for a while.
Yeah, Innovate. Yeah, later Elementals and later Justice Machine. Why am I blanking? But there was a couple of good comics.
Maze Agency was there for a bit.
Yeah. Wow. Innovation. I haven't thought of that in a long time. What's his name? Mike Gustavich's Cobalt Blue was Innovation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, George's Malibu. Yeah.
X Mutants. Yeah, that was Ron Lim's first comic. Yeah, I remember them.
Malibu was the first alternate, let's say, besides Marvel and DC comic that I started to see at actual drugstores and things like that. So they had Malibu books.
Vaz brought up Hero Alliance. Wow, that was Peter David's, I think, first comic. That was a bizarre. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Is that what I'm thinking of? Hero Alliance. Now I got to look up Hero Alliance.
I think Hero Alliance was a book. I don't think it was a. But who did Hero Alliance? I'm not entirely sure. What was the name of?
Soul Searchers. I'm thinking of Soul Searchers. Hero Alliance. What is Hero Alliance?
I don't know. For some reason in the back of my head, I think it has something to do. There was.
Okay. Yeah. I got Hero Alliance comics. Yep.
What was the name of Neil Adams' company? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Comics.
What was it? Continuity. That's what it was. I bought almost all of those, but I couldn't get them on a regular schedule.
Yeah, they didn't come out on a regular schedule. Those were that was Skate Man, Miss Mystic. Why can't I think of the other
Dead
one?
Man,
Dead
Cyber Rad.
Not Dead. Dead World.
No, Crazy Man. Sorry.
Crazy Man. Yeah. Continuity, beautiful art, but I've had Miss Mystic for 20 years in my to read pile and still haven't read it yet. Here's a crazy thing. I have 18 boxes of comics that I haven't read yet.
18 boxes
in alphabetical order, so I never get to Miss Mystic because it's an EMP. Because I pull the top box and I take out all the A's, and I keep, by the time I get other back issues and I've put them in alphabetical order, I'm never going to get to poor Zombie World or something like that. Wizard of Oz comics.
I think Miss Mystic would probably be, quite honestly, John, and I'm just pulling this out of 30-year-old memory, but a lot closer to your books than you might expect, because a lot of Miss Mystic is her getting just walloped.
Okay, here's a question. I get teased a lot because I like to make my superheroes not that powerful. Now, I know the Patriarch was pretty powerful in issue number 1 of Heroic Tales, and I assume everybody watching this has read it and loved it. But and when I say that, like he blew up a meteor, I was like, yes, his eyes were glowing when he did that. And you'll see that every superhero in my world could pull more power and overcharge themselves, but it's a cost. So you didn't understand because you're not supposed to understand. You're just supposed to see that his eyes. But when he was doing that, that's like when your check engine light goes on your car. Things about to get bad, and then he attacked. He hit the meteor, and what he did was he made a telepathic wedge. So you know what I mean, and then split it, and then let it, since it was smaller, it was able to friction and fall apart even more. So it was more like a stunt than sheer power. But he was pulling extra power than he normally. That's a cost. The reason why the Patriarch doesn't go mad like everybody else is he goes home to his wife and his family, and he's grounded. You know what I mean? And it keeps him on the earth, metaphorically speaking, as opposed to other superheroes that are loners. They start to believe these hallucinations that they get from their power. Zach Ted read it, loved it. Don't let it go to your head. Yeah, I'm too small. I'm too small to. Oh, by the way, RJ, you remember that Thomas Valiant is showing up in issue 2, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I just didn't want you to be like, you get it, you read it, like, what? I never approve of this.
I'll have to quote Dean Martin from Cannonball Run 1. You're small. SM all.
SM all. Yeah. Bees bleeds. That's my favorite outtake of all movie. All the young people are like, what are they talking about? RJ misses your videos on mythology.
The only YouTuber who analyzes them with ancient thought in mind. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't done one in a while. Usually I do one around Halloween, so maybe I'll do one around this Halloween. We should do a Saint Nicholas as well.
Oh, that'll be a fun one. Yeah, that'll be a fun one. I just reread Edith Hamilton's Mythology. I don't know where it came from, but I had this small little hardcover pocketbook, Edith Hamilton Mythology. It just was in my bedroom when I was a kid. I got 2 older brothers, so, but I can't, they didn't like mythology, but I always had this book and I always tried to read it. And I read it over and over again as a kid, but I just reread it for the first time as an adult. I mean, I haven't read it since I was 14. I was like, how the hell did I read that as a kid? That was a tough read, and it was all like Apodolos of whatever. I got this story, and it was like references to primary sources. But anyway, one of the things that they talked about it is Zeus having all these affairs, and they were talking about what it really was the Zeus cult came in contact with the Leto cult,
and it would absorb it,
and it would absorb it, and transform it. Like what's her name? Why can't I think of Metis, the original wisdom goddess, and Metis, and it got absorbed with Zeus, and then she became Athena. So basically Metis was an Eastern older goddess who was Hellenized into Athena. And then Hera was always jealous because the Hera cult didn't like all of these new goddesses. It's so interesting, all that stuff.
Same with Bacchus. Bacchus is a later addition to the pantheon because he came from a civilization that the Romans later conquered in the later half of their, I don't know, mythological journey. We'll put it that way as the stories go along.
RJ is one of the people who understands my feelings of Dionysus, who may or may not be something important in Heroic Tales in the future, and probably not the way you expect. Remember I said earlier on my stream that I had 2 fully formed stories in my head, and I went and wrote them.
Right.
One of them is based on Greek mythology. The hero finds the cave where the golden fleece is. Him and his wife, they're explorers, and they find a hidden cave, and there's the skeleton of the Hydra, and there's like a dead tree and everything like that. Like, we found it, and they've wrapped up is the golden fleece, and also they find the tooth of the Grey sisters. You know, they have the eye and the tooth. So he takes the tooth and he makes a spear, and then the wife takes the eye, and then he wears the golden fleece, and together they get all of these mythological powers. And they start to find out what's happened to the Greek gods since classical time. And it's not, I hope it's not what you think it is. So it's introducing mythology. The Greek gods are still around, and it's not the way you expect. And let's just say Dionysus is not a good guy.
Oh, definitely wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Definitely would not be.
Yeah. Is there a connection between Isis and Demeter? Demeter is the earth goddess. Da Matar is Da meaning earth, and Matar meaning mother. And Isis is the fertility goddess. So there is a connection, but Isis is more associated with Aphrodite, Astarte, and all of those goddesses. There is going to be a great scene in my book of Odin and St. Nicholas. Did you ever read the story of St. Nicholas and the statue of Artemis?
I don't think so.
St. Nicholas is one of the least passive saints.
Oh, yeah.
There's a great story of him punching Arius in the face during the Council of Nicaea.
Yep.
There's another story of he just wakes up in the morning and is like, enough's enough. And he marches over to the temple of Artemis and Ephesus and literally beats it to dust with a hammer. Now, other people are saying it's, earthquake, whatever, but I'm going to try to marry the two stories. But anyway, in the story, the demons that inhabit this temple, they're like, why are you picking on us? We just want the taste of human blood. We just want human flesh. We're not bothering you. And, and St. Nicholas is like, be gone. It's a great image. I can't wait to illustrate that in the story. And then there's another story where there's a tree possessed by Satan. How creepy is that? A demonic tree. And he comes up to the tree and bashes the tree apart with a hammer, and again, the demons flee. There's just so much cool comic book stuff you could do with St. Nicholas.
It was the connection to Odin as well, because it's a St. Nicholas, but there is I do believe a St. Patrick story where he comes in. I don't know if it's St. Patrick or not, but it was one of the saints, might have been St. Patrick, but who basically takes an axe to the Grove of Thor and just destroys the entire thing.
Oh.
And so there is that connection. You should look that one up if you're going to add the two to the St. Nicholas.
Well, the inspiration from my story is this is going to sound mean, but you look at Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and you look at all of those Rankin and Bass things, and they're not Christians. And we allowed non-Christians to define the mythology for our religions. You know what I mean? Like Catholics don't go make Jewish cartoons for the holidays. It's like, and so I'm like, I want like there to be like a definitive origin of Santa Claus in like a mythological story. But at the same time, I'm not going to like, there's violence and there's death and there's murder in St. Nicholas's lifetime and there's violence, death, and murder and betrayal in the Odin story. So it's not going to be whitewashed. There's going to be blood. There's going to be gore. But, is the Bible safe for work? You know what I mean? If you don't see it in the Bible, you're not going to see it in my story. So I don't know. I'm promoting myself too much on your channel, RJ. I apologize.
No, that's no problem. I get to a couple of questions here.
Like Jack did. When all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a demon tree.
Alessandro was talking about the Superman movie that came out and how a panel is saying it's un-American to criticize it. I think if you say it's un-American to criticize anything, you're being un-American. And Ryan says, Thor, Iron Man, Wolverine seem to promote alcohol. Shouldn't heroes be promoting sobriety to kids? Ryan, let's put it this way. It depends on what kind of story that you're going to write, but there's a lot of kids that have a lot of connection with alcohol and their parents. So, if you want to put reality into your book sometimes, that's part of it.
I'll say this, like, kids aren't stupid, and pandering to kids is bad. I just saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, the original movie, for the first time this Sunday. My wife took me to go see it. It's like the 30th anniversary, and it was excellent. And they did not pander to kids. There was a little bit of goofy humor and stuff like that, but like there was violence, there was fighting, there was a little bit of romance, like the Casey Jones and the April O'Neil. Like they didn't fool around or anything like that, but he starts massaging his shoulders. I thought it was a pretty tastefully done, sexy scene. And they had like I don't know. And then you look at like Star Wars. I keep saying like Obi-Wan cut a guy's arm off in a bar. Kids could deal with violence. Kids could deal with adult situations. As long as you don't wallow in it. Am I making sense? So like if you have a story with Thor and Thor's drinking mead, I don't think that's a problem. Tony Stark drinking alcohol, he was an alcoholic and it caused problems. That's a way of showing like drinking too much is a problem. Wolverine smoking, I'm the most anti-cigarette guy in the world. Cigarettes killed both my parents at a younger age than they should have. But smoking to me is the most sensitive. Wolverine is Knife Man. Wolverine should not be the cool superheroes for little kids. He's a berserker rage murderer whose power is he's going to stab you in the face. So to me, seeing Wolverine smoke, I don't know. It's just like he's already like he shouldn't be a role model, but like Superman shouldn't be smoking, shouldn't be drinking. Superman should be a Boy Scout. Batman, doesn't smoke or drink. Reed Richards. But like if your kid's emulating Wolverine, it's almost like take your kid and to have a real serious talk with them, because Wolverine is not to be emulated, And I can see you emulating the Hulk before Wolverine, because Hulk is supposed to be childlike. What's that?
Rage Man.
Right. Yeah. And what kid doesn't just get mad and frustrated and it does feel good to let loose and beat up, a tree or whatever, not other people, but like, but like, I don't know. Wolverine, I like Wolverine. He's a great character, but like he's not supposed to be a role model, at least not the original Wolverine that I read. He was supposed to be the foil to the role model, who was Cyclops. The fact that he got super popular, that's cool. He is a cool character. I like him, but
well, for my character, Pulse, he smokes, but it's because of like the exact reason Wolverine does, because it doesn't affect him at all, first of all, and secondly, because he's from originally the 1920s, 1930s, because you see him in the First World War in the Thor comic, right? So right. I mean, it's like a different time back then where they used to have doctors promoting cigarettes. So
yeah, that is funny when you see those ads. 9 out of 10 doctors smoke Camels. I don't know. Like, I also feel like we could put anything in our comics because little kids aren't buying them. Let's be realistic.
True enough.
Yeah. Wolverine drinks because he can't get drunk. I don't like drunken Supergirl in the new Superman movie. Supergirl is supposed to be a role model for girls. Superman is supposed to be a role model for boys. It's like she's sneaking off to drink. That's like doubly wrong. And then abandoning her dog to do it too.
Was it you? I think it was you who mentioned it, that someone had said that they think that the Supergirl movie is going to have Lobo in it. And I said, oh, sweet, merciful heavens. I do not want to see that.
I don't like Lobo. I always said that Lobo is what 90s nerds thought cool people were like, and it's not right. And that's not, Lobo was, I hated Lobo. There's like Cable, Deadpool, Lobo. There's just like those characters I just hated, always hated.
Do you have any excitement whatsoever to go see Peacemaker?
No, no. There's a Peacemaker movie. I know there was a TV show.
It's the new one coming out. The new James Gunn is directing it, and it's his second movie next to Superman, which everybody's saying, oh, great, make a Superman movie to get everybody into the new DCEU, which is basically kid-friendly, except for the guy getting shot in the head. And then
Yeah,
the next movie is Peacemaker, who is Mr. Shoot People in the Head.
yeah, that one scene I thought was a shouldn't be in the movie. That there's that to me was just tonally off for the rest of the movie. I know somebody whose kids were like, Dad, let's go, when that scene happened.
Well, that's exactly. I remember watching, and the thing was, the Shadow has so many different iterations of it. The original Shadow used to kill people all the time, but then you got the Shadow from the radio plays. He didn't kill people because he's on the radio. But I remember watching the Shadow movie that came out. What was it, like, I don't know, 85, 89, somewhere around there. And some guy took his kids to go see it. He had his two little kids in there, and then one of the first scenes in it is the guy, the villain. He's the descendant of Genghis Khan, and he mind controls people. And he mind controlled a guy who was a security guard at a museum to put his gun to his temple and pull the trigger. And the guy just picked up his two kids. They were leaving.
Yeah, the Shadow he's the guy with 45s who shoots people. Yeah. I don't know. The main I like all of those Charlton characters. I do like Peacekeeper. I just don't like John Cena. I don't know why. He to me, I know everybody in the world loves this guy, but to me, he has zero charisma. I don't know. Sorry. I like Drax the Destroyer, but I can't stand Dave Bautista.
Zach Chan says Lobo is a villain who occasionally fights other villains. Yeah, there you go. Lobo is a biker. He's and not one of the was with Lobo is a Hell's Angel who doesn't mind getting dirty. How's that?
Yeah. I don't know. I just he just looks stupid. He talks stupid, and I don't like how powerful he got. He's just, I don't know. I just don't like the character. I don't. I think I have like a couple of Lobo comics. I don't think I've ever bought them. I think people just gave them to me when they got tired of comics. I don't like them.
All right, so we're running out of time, but I want to ask you this completely off the wall question that has nothing to do with anything we talked about. We were talking about something on your channel, and it made me think of it. I can't remember. There is a Marvel or DC book called St. George. It was graphic novel.
Yeah, it was the Epic line.
Epic line. What is the origin of that? Do you remember anything about that character at all? Because I thought this, with what's going on in England right now, someone should make a character called St. George.
Yeah, I have it now. I'll dig it out. I'll have an answer for you by next week. But yeah, it was I think it was a 6-issue painted series by Epic Comics, which was it was like Marvel's Vertigo line before Vertigo. So there was a lot of good comics by Epic, like Black Dragon by Chris Claremont, painted by John what's his name? Yeah, John Bolton. There was why can't I think of Dreadstar,
which is still going, by the way. Anybody really likes Dreadstar? They had a campaign up last year.
Tony Grigo's correcting me. He says it was published by Epic Comics Shadow Line. So it was Epic Comics and then Shadow Line. So like Marvel had like a line within a line.
I always thought it was part of the new universe just because it came out around the same time.
No,
but I was completely wrong on that.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of years before the new universe. Yeah, Marvel made a creator-owned imprint called Epic, and you could make it was like Vertigo before Vertigo. It's just that Vertigo lasted longer. But
did Sienkiewicz have something to do with St. George, or did he just do the covers or something?
I don't know. Now I got to look it up.
Oh, Terror Incorporated was an awful book, Tony. Spin-off of St. George. I never knew that.
I don't know that comic. Jeez. A St. George epic comic. Oh, of course, now I know I have it, so I'll look it up. St. George epic comic.
Ryan says, John, you just defined anti-heroes as heroes who are not role models.
Okay, yeah, I've been struggling with what actually is it's created and edited by Archie Goodwin. Oh, that's the Shadow Line. So Shadowline is an American comic book sub-imprint of Marvel Comics imprint Epic imprint. So how about that? It's a subset of a subset of a subset. It was Marvel's first attempt at mature audience line of superhero comics. And now there's way too much information.
I'm sure I have at least a couple of them. I don't know if I ever read them or not. Yeah. Joni says here, have all the Shadow Line, pick them up in the quarter bins. Yep.
Yeah. There's so these were the Shadow Line: Dr. Zero, Power Line, and St. George. And then Critical Mass. I never heard of Critical Mass. This is interesting. Don't make me go buy other comics, you guys.
All right. Well, we'll let John get to bed.
I have 18 long boxes of unread comics. I'm not buying Shadow Line because of you guys.
I'm gonna have to look up, go through my long boxes and see if I have any of those. I'm sure I have at least 2 or 3 of each of them.
And by the way, I'm eating a cannoli donut. It is so rich. You're gonna see me go into diabetic shock before RJ hits the button.
Someone's gonna sneak up behind John with the piano wire, because isn't that what happened to the guy eating cannoli and Godfather?
Yeah, they shoot him, right? They shoot him. Grab the guns, take the cannoli, or leave the guns, take the cannoli. Do you ever play the Godfather board game?
No.
Oh my god, it's so much fun. That's one of the cards. Leave the guns, take the cannoli. You play that to assassinate somebody.
Knight says he's somewhere where it's 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, that's a creepy avatar you got there. Looks like dragon armor. Cool. But yeah, I'm going to go to bed. Thanks. All right,
we'll call it there. We're after an hour and 5 minutes. So thank you everyone for showing up, and we'll leave it there. And I'm going to end the stream without any hoopla. And thank you all for coming. And thank you, John, for showing up as well.
We had enough hoopla.